All right, let's see if we can get some progress. This is session 3 of the NorCal 40B. Just to remind you where we started. We hope it looks like that soon. Not quite yet. So here's the idea and the plan. So last time, if you remember, I didn't put the audio jack in, so I did that off camera. And then the plan for today is we're going to bypass the whole AGC circuit. So we'll put a jumper on R4 and we'll put a jumper on J309 from source to drain. We will put in C21 and C20, so we'll have a signal path. That'll take us into these two leads, and we can start to build the mixer here. So I've got a list. It's only 14 parts. We should be able to get 14 parts in and get a signal all the way up to the first toroid. So I think that's a good goal for a couple of minutes here, or a few minutes. So I'm going to just go down this list and install parts. So if you want to skip to the end, you could skip to the end. Once I get the parts in, we should be able to receive at least IF noise coming in here without the crystal filter. Who knows what we'll hear, probably AM radio stations and all kinds of junk. But that's a good indication that this NE602 is working. So I'm going to get busy. I'll show you this. So we did get the audio jack in here, and now you can see that we have that lines up in the hole. So I think we're on the way. I could put maybe next break between videos, I'll add the key and the antenna jack, since those are not that interesting. I did take a pocket knife and scrape each of the leads on this jack, and they soldered much better than the first one did. So I think that's a good tip. And then you can see this is also kind of cool on this board. They did improve it. We're going to head for U2 here, which is this mixer. And you can see they've got the board built for either a surface mount or an 8-pin dip, which is a pretty cool idea, so you don't need the converters if you can't get a hold of the chips. We did get an 8-pin dip though. And then here is L4, which feeds the input of the crystal filter. So we'll go from L4. I'll get a jumper maybe in the C13 hole all the way over to C9, so we can put the crystals in later, and then at least get a signal through. Maybe we'll build the RF front end first before we get into AGC and filters. So that's where I'm headed. I think maybe you've seen enough soldering, so I think I'll go ahead and put in this 13 parts, and I'll come back for what we'll call session 4. But there have been people who told me to show everything, so maybe I'll just leave the camera on and we'll see how this goes. And there's a little CW in the background, so if you want, you can copy CW in your head while we do this. So I'm going to put U2 in first. I'm going to take it, and you can see that this one is sort of spread looking, so it's not going to fit in the board. So I'm going to roll that flat on the table until the leads are more vertical. So that is better. You don't want to overdo it either, or you'll smash it. So those look pretty vertical. And in this one, the notch is here instead of a dot. And on the board, U2 has, but they make it, that's a little bit more difficult. So if you look at U2 here, that's the U2 designation. We've got to find pin 1, and you can see there's the outline of the top of the chip. So this is pin 1 here. So we'll get that in from the top of the board. Anybody heard a /7 get called just then? I'm going to tack one leg again with my index finger holding U2, and sorry about the shaking camera. So this camera stand is called an Lamical, and it does a good job clamping on, but it doesn't do a great job being super stable. I did change the workbench, and that helped. So the workbench is a lot more stable than it was with just the piece of 3/4 inch plywood with IKEA legs that I had before. Now I've got a a fancy Husky from Home Depot with drawers in the front and a real solid wood top, so it's much more stable than the other one. All right, there's 2 leads. I'm going to see what we got. So it did flow through. You can see that one and that one. They're both flowing nicely around the legs. So I'll go ahead and solder that in. Before I do that, I'm making sure that that notch lines up with that notch. Do that before you get too many pins soldered. It's annoying to have to solder suck all the legs out and screw up your board. Oh, I forgot the fan. I think my fan just ran out of battery power. That didn't last very long. That flowed better. I think the fan was maybe cooling it because it's soldering better now without the fan. Looks like we could use a crystal filter turned down up there. I think those all 8 look pretty good. We're going to add a little crystal filter here for you. I think they quit. There you go. All right, so there is U2, and all those legs look good. You can see there and there. So we're going to mark that off. Oops, I did locate it, and I am putting it in. So let's see, the only interesting bit of all these parts is the 47 picofarad. Those are marked 470. For a 4.7 and 0 multiplier, as opposed to a 4.7.1, which would be a 470. And that looks like that. So that will go, the 4.7 is C14, and that is on the output of the crystal filter, so it should be around that L4 that we spotted earlier. And there's L4 and there's C14, so we'll get that in there. Okay, that's in. We'll save a little speed. Get something else. We'll get L4. Doesn't that make you want to answer that guy? There's a L4, and again, this is not a resistor. It's an 180 or an 18 microhenry, and that's a little bit wide, so we're going to bend it a little bit wide, and that goes in there. Like that. Okay, and then C9 is a 270. Those came on a card like that. And I guess you can, yep, you can read those. So I'll pull that out, and that goes in C9. And C9 is right over here in the front of the crystal filter. Better stop building and answer that guy. He's really being persistent. All right, there's C9. We need C15 as a 2.2. That's the smaller of the 2 caps. That looks like that. Or like that is maybe better. And again, minus is a short lead, plus is the long lead. And it is C15. And where do we find that? I guess we find that on the input of U2. Well, there it is, C15. And again, this is minus, that's plus, so minus is over there. That's in. And let's see, we have C16 is a 0.047. Those are really long leaded ones. And I think you can read that too, 473. That's C16, and that is on pin 8 of U2. And there it is right by pin 8 of U2. All right. And then C41 is 100 microfarad. That's the big fat one. And that looks like that. And that is C41, which is the connected also to pin 8. C41. Should be a big round circle here somewhere. Do I have that right? C41, and it is in parallel with C16. I'm not doing very well in my location here. The traces are not that easy to see on this board either. You can't follow them off to where they might go. There is C16, and I really need C41. I wonder if it's hiding off in a corner somewhere. Well, this is burning up a bunch of my 20 minutes. C29, C30. I'm sure there's some people screaming watching the video that see it already too. This is like doing jigsaw puzzles with somebody else. I may have to come back to this part. Yeah, I just don't see a C41 yet. So I'm going to come back to it later. All right, we'll put that back in the bucket. We have C18 is another 270. And that is on pin 6 of U2. C18, there it is. All right, moving on. C20 is a 0.1. Those are the, yep, those are the 104s. So we need C20 and C21. Either one would do. And the clue of where they go is oh, they're in the AGC circuit around Q3. Here's 21. Now we need C20. So that's also a 104. There it is, there's C20. And that'll get us the signal past the AGC circuit. Mark those off. I need to jumper R4. That's one of those leads we didn't throw away. So there's a lead. We'll find R4. And that is a cross. That should be right near those caps. There it is. So I'm not going to try to make this a perfect jumper because I want it to be easy to get out. So here is R4. It's time for the needle nose pliers. That'll make it stick up easy enough to solder, I guess. All right, that's bent slightly. I think we're gonna have to solder pretty soon here. It's getting to be a little bit of a tree or a forest down here. See if I can move that lamp out of your glare here. I guess I can't. That's a lamp above us, so let me move the camera. Sorry for the ride. All right, well, maybe it's better, but not that much. Let's see if I can still get the soldering iron between you and me. See what we can come up with here. It's one thing to remember to solder correctly. It's the other thing to remember to keep it in view while you're soldering. There we go. Another couple. Somebody better get on the air and answer that guy. It's too bad that by the time you get this, he'll be long gone. That's looking okay. I need to get a new soldering iron tip. And I really need to take a break and clean this one. Somewhat better. All right, I'm going to cut a few leads because I think we're pretty close. So we have this one to go. It's better. And I think we got our jumper in. I guess I got a couple of caps down here we can get. It's harder than heck to see either through the camera or past the camera. So I think we're pretty close there. Let me cut a few leads off. So I'm gonna take a break right here, cut all these off, and I'll get 3 or 4 more parts in, and I'll come back and do a second video. It is getting too long here. We'll come back and test the signal through, and I'll add a couple of more parts in the next one. So thanks for hanging in there for this one, and we'll see you in a bit.